Charles Bronson was dead to begin with. There's no doubt whatever about that. But if you saw the movie Death Kiss, not Death Wish, Death Kiss, you'd swear that he was alive and well. Instead, it's a dead ringer for Charles Bronson, a doppelganger so similar that watching his series of Bronson-esque films is akin to staring at an autostereogram that alternates between this reality and another. The real but uncanny figure before you is Robert Bronson, who was discovered by B-movie maker Rene Perez. This is their story. Director, Rene Perez.
As far as how I had an idea to make these Bronson-style movies, is basically because I saw him. I saw a picture of Robert Kovacs, and I thought it was Charles Bronson. I was filming a TV episode of Western, and I was in Spain in this old Wild West set where they filmed a whole bunch of famous spaghetti westerns in the 60s, and I was filming a show there, and in the bar they had a picture of who I thought was Bronson, the real Bronson, and I was blown away to find out that the picture that I was looking at was not the real Bronson, that it was one of their actors there.
Actor Robert Bronson.
Hi, I'm glad to talk to you, and greetings to the Luke's Black Machine listener. My original name, family name, and my full name is Stephen Robert Smith. Robert Istvan Robert Kovacs. I'm at your disposal. Well. Many years ago, in my mid-20s, I worked in Hungary as a horse breeder and horse trainer. At the horse breeding center, we had a lot of visitors every day, and the people told me, "Hey boy, you look like Charles Bronson." From being a young man, pretty much my whole life, so I cut my hair and mustache like Bronson. I grew my hair in a more familiar style and trimmed my mustache just right. Also, my friends had many suggestions how I should do it, and I followed them. And at the horse breeding center, I worked with a good friend of mine, Peter. He would always say that I look like him. Initially, he also called me Bronson, but as many people are nicknamed, so Peter gave me this nickname Bronzy. I liked it, and then after that, everyone called me Bronzy. And since I started filming, it became my stage name as Robert Bronson. So this is a story about my Bronson name. This is a story. If you don't mind, I tell you a short story before I give you a response to this question. Director Rene Perez saw my photo on a salon wall in Spain, in the Western Village, where I work as stunt performer. He thought it was a photo of Charles Bronson years ago, and he asked the owner about the photo. When he found out it wasn't Bronson, it was me, he told him, "I want to meet this guy as soon as possible." I have used my appearance to my advantage throughout my career as a stuntman and actor, and I'm grateful for the resemblance that I have to the great Charles Bronson.
So as soon as I saw that there was a reincarnation of someone who was a dead ringer of an actor that I always admired, then the idea started forming in my mind. But until then, before then, of course, it's nothing that any filmmaker could ever even dream of. As soon as I saw him, my dream was to just make many movies with him. And I tried to get him into the movies I was making, but the producers that hire me, no one saw any worth in him at all. No one thought it was as wildly awesome as I did. So at one point I was doing a Western, and I said, you know what? I'm going to sneak this Charles Bronson guy into my Western. And I set aside some of the budget and even some of my own dollars to fly him over here. And I just cast him as one of the heroes. And I still fulfilled the producer's obligation of giving him a Western. I didn't take anything away, but I did sneak him in. Then after that, I got a call from another producer after they saw that it was successful and said, hey, what would you like to do? And I said, well, now that we've got this reincarnation of Charles Bronson. And I don't say look-alike because I've seen look-alikes before. You've seen them. What we're dealing with is a reincarnation, basically, a dead ringer for Charles Bronson. And once I got the call to say, hey, what would you like to do? I said, well, I'd like to make a real Charles Bronson style movie where I develop it all around him. And, you know, we joked around names, Death Grip, Death Kiss, or whatever, and like Death Wish. And that's what I was assigned to make next. So I called him back and I said, hey, it was a successful trial. Now we're going to make a Death Wish type movie. I had no idea that the producer was actually going to call it Death Kiss. It's a name that we were joking around about. I didn't realize it was real, but it was very good, actually. So I'm very happy with that one.
I have watched Charles Bronson's films. There are many that I have seen several times. In his movies, I see how he talks and plays his role, so everything he does. I have to say that I learned and I'm still learning about him even to this day. He always was and always will be my favorite actor. In my films, I have a positive role in protecting the innocent, fighting prostitution, drug trafficking, all against evil and bad people, and punishing them harshly, just like Bronson in his films, like in the Death Wish series.
He pretty much is Bronson. Like in between shots, if he's getting a sandwich or donuts, it's Charles Bronson getting a donut. If you take him out to breakfast, all the older people do double takes the entire time. If you put him out on the street corner, someone will shout out from their car. So he doesn't need to. He really is just that type of person. He's quiet, and there's nothing I could do to get him to be more Bronson. So that made life very easy for me. It meant that I only had to worry about superfluous parts of directing with him. And basically, I just tried to stay out of the way so I wouldn't impose things that would make him less Bronson. So I just focused on getting the right angles, because you could always get a wrong angle on someone. And I've seen so many pictures of him and so many things that just make him not look so great. But if you just take the time, you get the right perfect angle, and it is uncanny. Yeah, it is very unsettling. If you're familiar, if you're a movie fan and you have, ventured into the 60s and 70s movies or 80s, and where he was really doing his best stuff. And our guy is kind of the age of the 70s Bronson, the 70s era when he was doing Death Wish and all those great movies. I always film things in a certain way. In this case, since I figured I was doing a Death Wish sequel, I just pretended I was doing Death Wish Part 3, so I said I'll make a sequel to Part 2 because Death Wish 1 is too much of a actual piece of cinema, and I'm only a B-movie maker, and I only have B-movie budgets. Actually, I don't even have proper B-movie budgets. I have more like student film thesis budgets. So I couldn't try to make a sequel to Death Wish, but I could make a sequel to Death Wish 2. So I did film it in a style that I felt was like Canon Films from the early 80s. So I just said, you know what, it's 1983. I'm going to make a Death Wish sequel to Death Wish 2, and I will film it this way, and I will make it look this way. And Bronson already has his look. He's already reincarnated. So I just have to get the right angles and the right kind of feel, and we can have ourselves a proper little out of canon of the legacy sequel. It's just an interesting little side note in B-movie history that a guy came along that was a reincarnation of Charles Bronson, and some guy made movies with him. So that's how it all happened. No, I never felt any moral ambiguity about it at all, one way or the other, because basically what I'm doing is honoring the man. There is nothing silly about, well, B movies are silly in general, but we're doing it with all the respect. We're doing it in all seriousness. I know a lot of people expected Death Kiss to be some kind of comedy. And they were surprised to see that it was serious, because this is a serious blessing, a serious stroke of luck in my point of view. I mean, I don't know what other luck I could hope for in life. Maybe I'll encounter a 50-year-old reincarnation of Lee Van Cleef. I don't know what more, Bruce Lee. I don't know what else I could find in the world that I could ever hope for. So this is about as awesome as it comes, and it's all done with the best of intentions. Now, of course, these are just B movies, and everyone thinks B movies are just exploitive and, well, they only care about money and all those sorts of things. Well, that may be the case on the business side, but where Robert and I are concerned, we have nothing but the utmost respect and want to do right by Bronson's legacy.
Filming is my life. In every role, I strive to bring out the best myself. I really worked hard to reach this level as an actor, and I'm still working on it. I trust myself, and I continue to improve, and I hope so that the filmmakers will be satisfied with me. Respectfully paying tribute to Charles Bronson. You know, I would like to think that when he looks at me from heaven, he likes my personality and sees that I'm present him well and gives me blessing.